Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the SGK Wealth Compass, where financial insights are clearly explained. Today, we have John Steigerwald and Eric Randolph, as always, explaining to you what's happened in the financial markets this week. Thank you so much, and we hope you enjoy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Steigerwald. I am CEO of SGK Wealth Advisors.
And I'm Eric Randolph, CFP and Portfolio Manager.
Eric, SGK portfolios are known for stability during times of turmoil, and we've seen a lot of volatility in markets these days. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. That's actually one of the things I think our clients really like most about us is our capacity to go ahead and provide safe, stable income. And many of you heard me say in the past before that there are 4 different ways that we're able to actually provide income. And so that would include dividends from your stocks, interest from your bonds, and then actually a small capital gain from the bonds, because we again purchase those at a discount, and then of course capital gains from the stocks. Now, of those 4 different methods of gaining cash flow from your portfolio, only one of them is actually market dependent, and that is the capital gains from the stocks. So that means, again, specifically, the dividends from your stocks are not really dependent upon the market. The Dow can go down 1,000 points, you're going to pay the exact same dividend. The interest on your bonds, the exact same thing. Doesn't really matter what the market's doing at any one particular time. You're going to get paid exactly the same interest. And then, of course, the capital gain from your bonds. Again, we buy the bonds at a discount. All right, we buy them at 95 cents in the dollar, 83 cents in a dollar, 82 cents a dollar, etc. And then you get the full 100 cents in a dollar when those mature. And again, not dependent at all upon market volatility. And again, this is how we're able to provide safe, consistent income for our clients. And I think that's one of the things we're known for.
Yep, absolutely. And I would add the importance of dividend increases. Last year, 2025, we had 37 companies raise their dividend. The average increase was over 11%. That's a really important inflation hedge in our portfolio.
That's what you call inflation protection. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of news this week in the shortened trading week. It's Juneteenth tomorrow, so we're off.
Yeah.
We've been putting pressure on Tyler here at the firm to open the Strait of Hormuz. Finally came through for us.
He did it.
Seriously, though, the presidents of the United States and Iran signed a pact, the Memorandum of Understanding. Big part of that is opening the Strait of Hormuz. They said it would take weeks, according to Bloomberg, but in fact, we saw 3 Saudi oil tankers flow through in the last couple of days. And these are super tankers, 2 million barrels each for a total of 6 million. And that's just the start. Some other natural gas tankers have gone through as well. So that is certainly very good news.
And this has already had an impact, I understand, on
the price of oil. So we're seeing Brent drop below $80 a barrel this week. Looking at WTI crude, it's down another $3 today, or about 4%. And the price of gasoline, the average price here in the U.S. dropped below $4 this week. So that is all good news.
I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a couple of highlights on the economy this week, Eric. Why don't you hit those?
That's true. So again, I like to provide lots of good news. I don't have a lot of fantastic news necessarily, but news nonetheless. New home construction fell 15.4% in May. This is actually the slowest pace in 6 years. So again, the housing situation is not necessarily improving just yet. The drop was also led by a 40.2% plunge in apartment building projects, while single-family home starts actually dipped 1.9%. So again, not really fantastic on the housing front. But weekly unemployment claims fell slightly to 226,000, staying at low levels. And then continuing unemployment claims rose to 1.81 million, still below where we were about a year ago. So again, the whole employment situation, not really a lot of change. Not really a lot of change. I know that you're still hearing from time to time in the news, really high-profile companies saying we're laying people off. But guess what? The overall situation unemployment-wise for the nation is not really changing a lot.
This is pretty good. We're going to keep an eye on that rising continuing claims number, though.
Absolutely.
We had big news from the Fed this week. It was Chair Warsh's first meeting. I thought he did a great job. So they, of course, held rates steady. They're forecasting at least 1 rate increase this year. But Warsh was came across as confident and very succinct. His press conference, he answered questions very professionally. And he's setting up 5 task forces. And one is to look at the balance sheet, the Fed, which no downside to that, but also to potentially modernize their data collection process. We go through huge revisions in the employment figures every year, and timely, accurate data is very, very important. So there's no downside to that task force.
Not at all.
These are great initiatives. So again, well done. On the international front, the Bank of England held rates steady. Again, no surprises there. Again, bankers are citing an end to the conflict in the Mideast as a positive to help bring inflation down. We had good news on the German economy. There's a ZEW Institute releases figures for confidence, business confidence. Improved. It was plus 10.5 in June. May it was minus 10.5, and the expectation for June was minus 5.5.
Okay.
So again, business leaders are citing an end to the conflict as a reason for optimism there. So that was good news on the German economy. Very important, the largest economy in Europe.
In the EU, yeah. I'll take it.
Yep. We had a couple companies making headlines this week. Unfortunately, Accenture, they released earnings. The stock is giving up ground today. The numbers were okay for the quarter. They beat their earnings per share expectation. One concern is business bookings were down from the levels we saw last year, and last year was very, very strong, so it was a tough comparison. Concern is maybe being impacted by AI, but they do help companies implement AI solutions. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It's dragging some of the other stocks down as well, along with it, like IBM, for example, even though IBM had a great, stellar quarterly earnings report. RTX won another big contract, this time with the government of Finland.
They're consistent that way.
Yeah. So Finland has ordered F-35s from, again, the United States, our fighter jets. And there's Raytheon makes something called a glide bomb, which hits moving targets on the ground. And it's an incredible weapon, obviously. So that was a big contract they won this week.
I'm not sure if you've ever been to Virginia Beach, if you're actually there and you actually see the practice runs, okay, F-35 is going overhead.
Super cool.
From time to time. So you love that.
Yeah, we had Apple and Alphabet news.
Apple and Alphabet, again, two of my favorite companies. Alphabet, so the shares actually rose off of Tim Cook actually said that there are plans.
Apple.
Sorry.
Yeah. We're good.
Got to get the right company in the first place, right? So Tim Cook said Apple actually plans to raise prices to offset higher memory and chip costs. So, of course, you knew that was coming at some point. You possibly have also heard that the agent on, if you have an Apple iPhone, Siri, is ultimately going to be connected or paired with Gemini, which is Alphabet's large language model. Actually gives Siri a couple of additional IQ points, and I think she can actually use it. Again, people have really been frustrated often with the...
You love her Australian accent, don't I?
Oh, I did also want to mention that Trump said that Apple has agreed to work with Intel to design and build its chips here in America. So again, getting some of the essential portions or parts actually right here in America where we have better controls. So again, that's always a good thing. Alphabet, again, one of my favorite companies. Again, I love this company because multiple streams of income. We're talking about YouTube, which has top line of over $50 billion a year.
Larger than some economies.
Larger than some national economies. Has a search and then also has GCP. Don't forget about that. Of course, that's their cloud business. But Alphabet basically released new server cooling designs. Basically, they're called the Bravos design. And this is actually the liquid to air cooling for data centers actually to help actually add AI equipment actually faster and at a cheaper cost. Google will also open source the design rather than to sell it. So again, really excited about the developments there at Alphabet.
Good news on that front, definitely.
But that's about all we have for you this week. Again, thank you for spending some time with us. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. And as we say here at SGK, cheers.